Soy, phytoestrogens, and ocular health. Could estrogen-like compounds affect glaucoma in women? Introduction. Glaucoma is a common eye disease that leads to gradual vision loss. It often affects older adults, and women make up a large share of patients. Because women's eyesight changes after menopause, scientists are studying whether female hormones influence glaucoma risk. Soy foods are rich in isoflavones, plant compounds that mimic estrogen, so-called phytoestrogens. This article looks at what we know about estrogen exposure in glaucoma, whether soy isoflavones might affect eye blood flow or eye pressure, and what studies say about diet. We also compare whole soy foods versus concentrated soy supplements and cover safety for people with thyroid problems or hormone-sensitive cancers. Estrogen and glaucoma risk in women. Glaucoma is roughly twice as common in older adults, and women make up a large portion of patients. Researchers have long noticed that female hormones may affect glaucoma. For example, one major study found that women who entered menopause before age 45 had a 2.6-fold higher risk of glaucoma than those who went through menopause at a later age. By contrast, women on hormone replacement after menopause showed lower glaucoma risk. In laboratory studies, estrogen signaling seems to protect the optic nerve cells, retinal ganglion cells, from damage. In short, experts suggest that the drop in estrogen around menopause could set the stage for glaucoma to develop. Scientists are still figuring out how estrogen might help the eye. One idea is that estrogen makes it easier for fluid to drain out of the eye, lowering the pressure inside, intraocular pressure, IOP. In a large trial, Women's Health Initiative, postmenopausal women given estrogen had a slightly lower eye pressure, 0.5 mmHg, than women on placebo. That change is small, but it suggests estrogen can affect the eye's fluid dynamics. Other work shows estrogen increases blood flow in the retina and around the optic nerve. For example, a clinical study found estrogen therapy raised retinal blood flow in older women. Better blood circulation may help nourish optic nerve cells. In animal models, removing the ovaries and estrogen worsened glaucoma damage to the optic nerve, while giving estrogen was protective. Summary. Observational data and experiments suggest that lower estrogen, as in menopause, ties to higher glaucoma risk, while estrogen treatment may modestly lower eye pressure and improve eye blood flow. However, most human studies are observational. There are very few clinical trials specifically testing hormones for glaucoma. In practice, doctors do not prescribe estrogen for glaucoma, but these findings hint that managing hormone levels, through diet or medication, might influence eye health. Soy isoflavones, plant hormones and the eye. What are soy isoflavones? Soybeans and soy foods, tofu, soy milk, tempeh, edamame, contain isoflavones, plant chemicals that act much like weak estrogens. The main soy isoflavones are genistein, daidzein, and glycidin. Inside our bodies, gut bacteria can convert daidzein into EquWool, a compound with especially strong estrogen-like activity. About half of people, more often in Japan than in the West, have the gut bacteria to make EquWool. EquWool is considered important because it is a powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory molecule. In fact, recent research in Japan found that glaucoma patients who did produce EquWool, i.e. likely eating soy frequently, had milder vision loss than those who did not. This supports the idea that a soy-derived estrogen-like compound was protecting the optic nerve. Mechanisms: blood flow, nitric oxide, and nerve protection. How might soy isoflavones help the eye? Scientists have proposed several ideas based on what estrogen and related compounds do in the body. Ocular blood flow. The optic nerve and retina need good blood supply to stay healthy. Estrogen is known to widen blood vessels in many tissues by boosting nitric oxide, NO, a natural vasodilator. One animal study found that genistein and daidzein increased nitric oxide synthase activity, the enzyme that makes NO, in blood vessels of hypertensive rats. This improved vessel relaxation even without activating estrogen receptors. Although that study was on aorta rings, the implication is that soy isoflavones may improve blood flow by an NO-mediated effect. In the eye, increased NO could improve perfusion of the retina and optic nerve. In support, women on hormone therapy had higher retinal blood flow in one trial. Intraocular pressure, IOP. So far, no studies have proved that eating soy actually lowers eye pressure. But estrogen itself only lowered IOP by a tiny amount in trials. It's plausible that lowering eye pressure would help glaucoma, but the data on soy is quiet on this point. Neuroprotection. Glaucoma kills retinal ganglion cells, optic nerve cells. Both estrogen and soy isoflavones have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties that can protect neurons. For example, genistein is known to inhibit damaging enzymes like certain tyrosine kinases and reduce oxidative stress. In lab models, giving genistein to rats after cutting off and restoring retina blood flow, ischemia reperfusion, reduced retinal cell death. EyeWhat, specifically, activates a cellular defense pathway, NRF2, and limits inflammation. These actions could theoretically slow glaucoma damage, though direct evidence in glaucoma models is limited. Trabecular meshwork and outflow. One major factor in glaucoma is resistance to fluid drainage in the eye. There is some speculation that estrogen-like compounds might affect the connective tissue or cells of the trabecular meshwork, the eye's drainage tissue, to reduce stiffness. For instance, genistein inhibits collagen breakdown enzymes, and EyeWhat blocks collagen degradation. This is very preliminary, but if the outflow channels remain more flexible, eye pressure might stay lower. In summary, soy isoflavones could plausibly benefit the eye by improving blood flow via nitric oxide, protecting nerve cells from oxidative stress, and even helping fluid outflow. These mechanisms come largely from lab and animal studies. At present, there is no human trial showing soy improves glaucoma or lowers eye pressure. The evidence is indirect. What dietary studies show, human data on soy intake in glaucoma is very limited. There are no large trials testing high soy diets for eye outcomes. A few observational clues exist. EyeWhat production. As noted, a recent Japanese study found that among people with normal tension glaucoma, those who produced EyeWhat, i.e. likely ate soy, had significantly better visual field scores. This suggests a link between soy-derived estrogenic activity and milder glaucoma. However, this study was cross-sectional, one point in time, and only in Japanese patients, so it cannot prove cause and effect. General diet patterns. Some research links plant-rich diets to lower glaucoma rates. For example, a study of older U.S. women found that higher intake of certain fruits and vegetables, like leafy greens and carrots, was associated with lower glaucoma risk. That study did not focus on soy specifically, but it implies diets rich in natural foods with antioxidants and nutrients might help the eyes. No big study has isolated soy or phytoestrogens in such diets. Other hormone factors. Observationally, women who have had more lifetime estrogen exposure, later menopause, more pregnancies, or hormone therapy tend to have lower glaucoma risk. While not about diet, it reinforces that the estrogen pathway matters. It suggests that a food-based source of estrogenic compounds, like soy, is worth investigating, but has not yet been tested. Gaps in evidence. In summary, human nutrition studies have not directly shown that eating soy or taking soy supplements prevents glaucoma. The hints, like the EyeWhat finding 12, are intriguing but preliminary. We need well-designed trials in women to test whether soy could protect vision or slow glaucoma. Until then, the idea remains a hypothesis based on biologic reasoning and indirect data. Whole soy foods versus concentrated supplements. If women want the potential eye benefits of soy, does it matter whether they eat soy foods or take pills? Yes, there are important differences. Whole soy foods, tofu, tempeh, edamame, miso, soy milk, etc., contain isoflavones bound in natural forms, but they also provide protein, fiber, and other nutrients. Traditional Asian diets deliver isoflavones at amounts around 20 to 50 milligrams per day through foods. This moderate intake has been studied in Asian populations for decades. Soy supplements and concentrates often provide purified isoflavones, genistein, daidzein, etc., in much higher amounts, sometimes 50 to 150 milligrams in a single pill. One review noted that some soy supplements can deliver up to 100 milligrams genistein per day, which far exceeds the typical dietary dose. For comparison, drinking 1 to 2 cups of soy milk and eating a few ounces of tofu might deliver roughly 20 to 40 milligrams of isoflavones. Safety differences. Because supplements can pack a high dose, they may carry risks not seen with normal food. For example, German safety authorities recommend that women, especially those with health concerns, not exceed about 50 milligrams of isoflavones per day from food. They also advise that risk groups, like those with thyroid disorders or breast cancer, avoid high-dose isoflavone supplements. In short, what people traditionally eat in Asia, moderate whole soy diet, has a long track record of safety, whereas concentrated pills may pose unknown long-term effects. For eye health specifically, there is no evidence so far that taking a soy extract pill will improve glaucoma. Some experts suggest it's preferable to stick with whole foods if trying phytoestrogens. Foods come with a balance of nutrients and likely pose less risk of overwhelming the body's hormone systems. Safety considerations. Thyroid disease. Some people worry that soy can affect the thyroid gland. Lab studies show isoflavones can interfere with thyroid enzymes in animals, but what about in humans? The consensus is moderate soy is safe for most people's thyroid. Reviews conclude that in healthy, iodine-sufficient individuals, typical soy intake does not alter thyroid hormone levels or function. That means people who eat soy foods normally, without hip-popping supplements, should not see their thyroid hormones drop. However, in certain sensitive groups, there is caution. If someone has an underactive thyroid, hypothyroidism, or very low iodine intake, high soy intake might slightly raise the thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH level, or make thyroid hormone replacement less efficient. In practice, doctors recommend that thyroid patients can still eat soy foods, but ensure they take their thyroid medication a few hours apart from a big soy meal. People with overt thyroid disease, especially autoimmune thyroiditis, might want to avoid soy supplements or very large soy doses unless monitored. Hormone-sensitive cancers. Because soy isoflavones act like estrogens, women often worry about breast or endometrial cancer. The good news is that studies find no clear harm from moderate soy foods in healthy women. Long-term data from Asian populations, where lifelong soy eating is common, show no increase in breast cancer risk. In fact, many large studies suggest soy might even help lower breast cancer risk or mortality, especially if consumed early in life. A comprehensive review found that the usual amounts of isoflavones in the diet, 30 to 50 milligrams per day, do not stimulate breast tissue in a dangerous way. That said, most experts advise caution for supplements. High-dose isoflavone pills, say 100 milligrams a day or more, have not been as well studied. For women with active estrogen receptor-positive breast cancer or a history of it, doctors usually recommend consulting an oncologist before taking soy supplements. Whole soy foods in a normal diet are generally considered safe even for breast cancer survivors, but megadoses are not proven beneficial. In summary, consuming soy foods in moderation is likely safe for most women. Standard intakes, comparable to Asian diets, do not seem to disrupt thyroid hormones or fuel hormone-sensitive cancers in healthy individuals. The major warnings are for taking unusually high doses in pills. High-dose supplements could tip the balance in at-risk groups. As the German report noted, a prudent limit for most people is about 50 milligrams isoflavones per day from food. Conclusion. Current evidence suggests that endogenous estrogen is protective against glaucoma, and losing estrogen, as in menopause, may raise glaucoma risk. By extension, plant estrogens from soy might offer similar benefits. Laboratory studies show soy isoflavones can boost nitric oxide, improving blood flow, and protect retinal neurons. A recent clinical observation even linked soy metabolism equal to milder glaucoma in Japanese patients. However, we must be clear, no clinical trial has proven that eating soy or taking isoflavones will prevent or treat glaucoma. Human data are mostly associative or experimental at this point. For women curious about soy and eye health, reasonable dietary soy intake appears safe and may have some general health benefits. Whole soy foods, tofu, tempeh, soy milk, etc., can be part of a balanced diet. Supplements that deliver very high isoflavone amounts are a different story. They have not been tested for eye benefits and could carry risks for thyroid or breast issues. If you have hypothyroidism or a history of hormone-sensitive cancer, discuss soy supplements with your doctor or endocrinologist. In practical terms, it doesn't hurt to include modest amounts of soy in the diet if you enjoy it. Eating soy as part of a varied diet provides plant protein, fiber, and micronutrients in addition to minor estrogenic effects. It is unlikely that a few servings of soy foods will dramatically change glaucoma risk on its own, but it may contribute to overall eye and vascular health. More important are well-established factors: regular eye exams, controlling blood pressure, and lowering high eye pressure when needed. Researchers will continue studying phytoestrogens and eye health. For now, the best approach is moderation. Whole soy foods can be enjoyed, supplements used cautiously, and any hormonal diet changes discussed with your healthcare provider. Tags: Medicare, Women's Health, Nutrition. Eye health: glaucoma, phytoestrogens, soy foods, ocular perfusion, nitric oxide, menopause work. All links to sources are available in the text version of this article. You can find the full article at visualfieldtest.com. Thanks for listening. To check your visual field, click the link at the bottom of this article or visit visualfieldtest.com.